Hi, this is Dr. Anna, and I'm here to show you your minerals, which you will have to know for this class. So the number one of the minerals is going to be your quartz. This here is a quartz crystal. When you have a crystal showing crystal faces, like here, this very, very flat, shiny surfaces, don't mix that with the cleavage. Remember, the cleavage is the way the mineral breaks. Here, this is a crystal, so you cannot see the cleavage unless you have a broken surface, like this one here. The bottom of this quartz crystal is broken, so here you can see that the surface is very irregular. Now, the quartz is pretty hard. Remember, it's 7 on the hardness place. So you can scratch the quartz crystal to the glass and it will make a scratch. So that's one way to know it. That the other thing I always use is the no cleavage. So the hardness and the cleavage. Remember, the quartz can have different colors. And I even mentioned it in the chapter that if it's purple, it's called amethyst. If it's pink, it's called rose quartz. If it's black, it's called smoky quartz. The yellow is the citrine. Number 2 is the common quartz. And, you know, it's very similar to the number 1, except that it doesn't have crystal surfaces. So this here is a broken. You can very well see that it has no cleavage. It can also have different colors, you know, depend what kind of trace elements were around. So you can see the very, very irregular surfaces. These are broken surfaces, so you can really use the no cleavage. So this will also scratch the glass. And as I said, it could have different colors. I think the scratch the glass and no cleavage is what I really use for recognizing quartz. Number 3 is the K-feldspar. This is also called orthoclase. 2 very important properties, 3. One is that it's hard. It will scratch the glass because it's 6 on the hardness scale. Number 2, that it has two very well-defined cleavage planes. So if I turn this around, you see how the whole side shines at the same time, this one, and the parallel side is count together as one way of cleavage. Now, if I turn around, 90 degree almost, 89. You see, this is the other way of cleavage. You see how it shines at the same time, this side. So parallel with this side is number 2. Now, if I turn it on the third side, see, it's not shining at all and it's very irregular surface. So we don't have cleavage this way. So it's 1, 2 ways of cleavage. Very characteristically, the K-feldspar or orthoclase have a pink color. This pink is in geology means that it could be anything from almost white to darker reddish brown. So that color is relatively characteristic. So remember, this is the orthoclase or K-feldspar. So our number 4 mineral is the calcium plagioclase. The plagioclase actually is a group of 6 type of minerals, and it's also part of the bigger feldspar group. The first mineral in the feldspar group was the orthoclase or K-feldspar I just showed you. So we are in the plagioclase group now, and the first mineral here, which you have to know, is the calcium plagioclase or anorthite. The anorthite is also hard. Just like every feldspar, it's about 6 on the hardness scale, has 2 very characteristic cleavage. I'm showing you the first one. See how it shines on the whole side at the same time? So that's one way of cleavage with the parallel side. And this here is the other way of cleavage. Now, on this side, you can also see a characteristic feature of the plagioclases, and that's the so-called striation. You see those lines? Those are where the twin crystals reach each other. So those lines are just what we call striation. Also, the anorthite or the calcium plagioclase often have iridescence, which is like a bluish, beautiful coloration change as you turn around. On this one, you cannot see, but it's very characteristic. It's also hard. It's going to be 6 on the hardness scale, so you can easily scratch the glass with this mineral. So this is what we call anorthite or calcium plagioclase. Number 5 mineral is the sodium plagioclase, or also called albite. I mean, the official name for the sodium plagioclase is albite. The albite is usually white. Because it's a plagioclase, it will also have the 2 characteristic cleavage plane. I'm showing one of them. See how it shines at the same time? parallel side count as 1, and here is the other side. Here you can pretty much see the cleavage. So that's 2. This is the 2 very characteristic cleavage plane. Also, as I said, it has the striation. You can see it pretty well on this side right here. You see the lines going? So it's very characteristic. If the K-feldspar, for some reason, white, it will not have this striation. So you can always separate them by that. Okay, so that's the striation. It also pretty hard. 6 on the hardness scale, so it will scratch the glass very well. So it's usually white, has 2 ways of cleavage, hard, so it scratches the glass. It's easy to separate the albite from everything else. The number 6 mineral is the olivine. Olivine is very easy to know because, see, the name is coming from the olive, which means it's green. See, this olivine is pretty green. Really, this is not a single mineral. It's a bunch of mineral together. See, so you can see the low minerals in there, the little low individual grains in there. Olivine has no cleavage. It's pretty hard, 6.5 to 6. So it scratches the glass easily. And as I said, it has no cleavage. Number 7 mineral is a pyroxene. Pyroxene is usually dark with a little bit of green tint, like gray with a little tiny bit of green tint. It also have 2 ways of cleavage, which is not very good. But what you can't see here is that the whole side shines at the same time, even though there are little steps in this surface. And you can really see the green tint here. You see it right there? And if I turn this around, I'm going to try to find very well. Oh, here is the other way of cleavage. You see how the whole side shines at the same time? So even if you just have a little piece, you can still find the cleavage plane. So it has 2 ways of cleavage. It's dark gray with that tint of green. And it also pretty hard, around 6 on the hardness scale, so it will scratch the glass. So 2 ways of cleavage. It's not very perfect, but you can see them. It's dark gray. It scratches the glass. Your number 8 mineral is the amphibole. Amphibole is very shiny and black. It also has 2 ways of cleavage. Like here, you can see it's also not very perfect, but nonetheless, you can see it. See how the whole side shines at the same time? Right here, yes. And the other way of cleavage is right here. You see how the whole side shines at the same time? It's really the 2 cleavage plane goes about 120 degrees from each other. This mineral is also hard, so it will scratch the glass. Your number 9 mineral is going to be the biotite. The biotite is one of the mica, and the mica is a group of minerals, 2 of them which you will know. The first one is the biotite. The biotite mica is usually black. And I'm showing you this side. This side is an extremely excellent cleavage plane. The mica has a very characteristic 1 way of cleavage. 1 way of cleavage. See, it's really shiny. And these are all cleavages. It's very, very easy to make new cleavage planes by just putting your fingernail in between, but don't do it because we're going to lose a lot of this mineral. So you see, it's very easily repeatable cleavage, and it's only 1 way. And normally the biotite mica is always black, so it's very easy. You can scratch them with your fingernail. So the hardness is like 2.5. So that's your biotite. Your number 10 mineral is the muscovite. Muscovite is a second mica you will have to know. It is similar to the biotite. It has 1 perfect way of cleavage. It's easily cleavable. And some of them will have these black inclusions, which is coming from impurities. The way we use the muscovite, they used to use muscovite is because of the see-through characteristics for furnace window. And actually in the 18th, 19th century, they also used it like window glass because it has very good insulation and it's see-through, so it's logical. It is very soft. You can easily scratch it with your fingernail. It's 2.5 on the hardness scale. And because of the great cleavage, it's going to be very easy for you to recognize it, okay? Your number 11 mineral is the kaolinite. The kaolinite is a white mineral when it's all by itself, but most of the time they pick up iron and they become like reddish brownish color. So the white kaolinite is the one you will have to know. It's a very, very common clay mineral, probably the most common. One of the most important characteristic of the clay minerals that when you drop water on it, it's going to absorb it really quickly. So we use it very often when we have diarrhea. Because when we have diarrhea, we have excess water in our tummy, and you need to put some kaolinite in it, which is the calpactate, actually, the pharmaceutical name for it. But it's pure kaolinite, and it absorbs the excess water out of our tummy. It's very easy to recognize because it's white. It is very soft, so you can easily scratch it with your fingernail. It leaves a white scratch on the strict plate, and I think that's about it. And remember, most of the time you do not find white kaolinite. It's usually reddish brown because of the picked up iron. So your number 12 mineral is the talc. Most of the talc in everybody's bag is going to be white because that's the most common type of talc. And it's very, very smooth when you touch it. And it's easily scratchable with your fingernail because the talc, remember, is the number 1 on the hardness scale. If you drop a little bit of water on the talc, it will repel it. That's why we can use it in the talcum powder and in the facials, because you do not want water to be absorbed out of your face or wherever you put the talcum powder. You want it to repel the water, so your moisture is going to stay in your face or in your skin wherever you put the talcum. So it's very important difference from the kaolinite. Kaolinite absorbs it, and talc is going to repel the water. Your number 13 mineral is the garnet. The garnet is usually, the ones we use is usually reddish. It's not one crystal, but a bunch of them together. It's actually a group of minerals, and they have different colors, but this is the most common one. So the reddish one is the most common. It has no cleavage, and it's very hard. It's 6.5, so it will easily scratch the glass. Your number 14 mineral is calcite. Calcite. You can see calcite, if I turn it around, it has really good cleavage, and that's right here one side. And then here, there is another one, so it's 2. And if I turn it around, there is really good cleavage on this side too. So calcite has 3 ways of very good, excellent, I should say, cleavage. Okay, now the other good thing about the calcite that the copper penny will scratch it. It has a hardness of 3 on the hardness scale. And also, if you drop 1 drop of hydrochloric acid, it will vigorously fizz. Okay, so calcite, hardness of 3, fizzes with hydrochloric acid, and it has 3 ways of excellent cleavage. Number 15 is going to be the dolomite. Now, if you compare the calcite and dolomite, the 14 and 15, they are extremely similar, as you can see. They both have really good cleavages, 3 ways, very good, like you can see it. This is the type of cleavage we call the rhombohedra because it shapes like rhombohedra, as you can see. It's not 90 degree, but you know, like it's a rhombohedra, as you can see. It's not 90, like you can just see on this surface. It's like 120 and 60 instead of 90 degrees. So that's the 14 is the calcite, and the way you separate it from the dolomite, that when you drop hydrochloric acid on the calcite, it's gonna fizz like crazy. If you do that to the dolomite, it will not. You have to scratch it with the nail just a little bit, and then it will fizz just a teeny tiny bit, very low. So it's easy to separate these two. Dolomite is also about 3.5 on the hardness scale, and it has the rhombohedra cleavage, and it will not fizz as well as the calcite, so it's easy to separate them. The mineral 16 is going to be the gypsum. The gypsum is very soft. You can scratch it with your fingernail. And it has pretty good cleavage, actually, 3 ways. So in every way, there is a cleavage. But because of the 2 on the hardness scale, so you can scratch it and it will not fizz. With hydrochloric acid, it's really easy to separate it from the calcite. And it's not rhombohedra either. So that's your gypsum. So your number 17 is going to be the halite. Let me open it. I have a bunch of flow pieces in there so you can see the cleavage. There is already one right here where you can see it. So you can see that they are more or less break the same way. And if I make one close to the screen, you can see that it has 1, 2, and 3 ways. So the parallel sides count like 1. So it's 3 ways of cleavage. You can see the biggest side, easy peasy. And it cleaves by the cube. So it's very different from the calcite or the dolomite because they are rhombohedra. The halite breaks by the cube. The hardness of the halite is 2, 2.5, so you can scratch it with your fingernail. And the best way to separate the halite from anything else that it tastes salty because it's basically your table salt. So that's the halite. As I said, it's really easy to separate from everything because of the salty taste. The number 18 is the fluorite. Now, most of the bags will have purple fluorite. It's very common. The fluorite can have different colors. The most common colors you can find in the US is purple, which is coming from Tennessee, and probably the green, which is coming from Indiana or Michigan. There are a couple of places in the US when there is fluorite in the mine, so they're mining it. This one is the green because I didn't have any more purple. So what do we know about the fluorite? The fluorite is 4 on the hardness scale, so you do have to use the nail. So you can try with your fingernail, it won't scratch. You can try with the copper penny, it won't scratch it. You have to use the nail to scratch it. So you know it's different from any other mineral like this. The fluorite is pretty heavy, okay? And it has 4 ways of cleavage, but you can see that there is good cleavage here. But to see all 4 ways of cleavage, you have to cleave this mineral. So at this time, we cannot really use the cleavage that well. What we will use is the hardness, that it's 4. So you cannot scratch the glass with it, but you cannot scratch it with your fingernail nor the copper penny, but you can scratch it with the nail. So that's what I would use. And the fact that it's a little bit heavy and yeah, it's see-through, it's really pretty mineral. I think it's not that hard to separate it from anything else because the gypsum is softer. The calcite is gonna fizz with the hydrochloric acid. The dolomite has the rhombohedra cleavage. The gypsum will scratch with your fingernail. So there is nothing which is really similar to the fluorite. So you will be able, as I said, that's the only purple mineral in your mineral boxes. Most of you have the purple, but if you do have the green in the newer boxes, then you will know that too, okay? So the 19 is the magnetite. And you can see it has these little iron shreds and they are sticking to the magnetite. So this is very easy to know. There is no any other mineral like the magnetite. It's about 5 on the hardness scale, but really you don't have to use any of that stuff. If you just do the streak plate, you will see it has a dark gray streak, so it's easy to separate from anything else. It doesn't really have cleavage. It doesn't have cleavage. So magnetite. 5 on the hardness scale. Probably the nail will scratch it, but you don't even have to try it because you just have these iron pieces, or you can try with a magnet. See, if I take off these iron pieces, I can pick it right back up. You see, it will pick it up because it's magnetite. So if you have a magnet or any kind of iron nail or anything iron, it will attach to it, okay? Mineral 20 is the hematite. And I have two pieces in this bag. One is the red and the other one is the black. This is what we call the specular hematite. And you know, this hematite is also used for jewelry. The people believe in mineral healing power. They do use the hematite for some kind of healing. What is interesting about both of these, that even though one is red, the other one is black, they both will have brown streaks. So you cannot mix it with anything else. And it doesn't have cleavage. So yeah, it's not similar to anything else. It's easy to separate them. Your mineral 21 is going to be the galena. Let it out. So I have two pieces. Some bags, some of them are in bags, and you can see that there are more low pieces just for showing the cleavage really. So you can see that the galena has pretty good cleavage, 3 ways. So it's by the cube, 1, 2, and 3. So 3 way of cleavage. It's not perfect. It has low steps. But nonetheless, every time you hit the galena, it's going to repeat it. It's easy. So it's 3 ways of cleavage. It's silver color. It's really heavy because this is lead ore, so it's PBS. And it doesn't look similar to anything else. So you will never, it has a dark gray streak, so it's easy to separate. Mineral 22 is the pyrite. Probably this is the easiest mineral to tell apart because it's also called the fool's gold. It has this very characteristic yellow gold color. It's metallic. This is typical metallic luster. And if you use it on the strip plate, that's how you can separate it from the gold, is that it has a gray, dark gray streak. And the gold will always have a light brown streak. So if you find pyrite and you start thinking, oh my God, I found gold, you know that you didn't. If you just streak it, and you will see that it has a dark gray streak. So it's easy to separate the pyrite from anything else. Number 23 is the graphite. Let me take it out. So the graphite is extremely soft. It's 1 on the hardness scale, so you can really easily, look, my nail become dark gray. So it has a very good streak, dark gray. That's why we can use it in the pencil. So it's very soft, has good streak, and it's very smooth and soft, and it colors your hand right away. So that's graphite. So this mineral is 24. It's a little bit hard to see, but it's there. And this is what we call bauxite. The bauxite looks like earth, really. If you touch it, it's very tannish, reddish. It probably has little round pieces in it. It's about 5 on the hardness scale, so probably the nail will scratch it. But this doesn't look, see that those little round pieces, which are very characteristic. Now, if you lick it, it will stick to your tongue. That's one way to separate it from anything else. It's pretty easy that way. This here is the bauxite, which is also the aluminum ore. So it's kind of good to know about it. See, there is another. We call those piezolites, those round pieces right there, piezolite. It doesn't look like anything else. It's easy to know. Bauxite.